UFC veteran compares Belal Muhammad to Ronda Rousey after Jack Della Maddalena loss. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Jennifer. Have a nice day. For the WWE family latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. UFC veteran Josh Thompson recently shared his perspective on Belal Muhammad's loss to Jack Della Maddalena this past weekend. The former lightweight compares Remember the Name to Ronda Rousey, who also suffered devastating losses against top contenders. Della Maddalena was announced the new welterweight champion after he managed to outclass Muhammad at UFC 315. Although the former kingpin fought a great fight, fans were alarmed by his strike-heavy approach. One among them is Thompson, who expressed his frustrations with the Chicago native's game plan. On his weighing-in podcast with referee John McCarthy, he had this to say: Belal Muhammad did exactly what he said he was going to do, ill-advised, but he did it. I think he kind of realized the fight was slipping away a little bit, but he lost the fight. Is this one of those things where a coach got in your head and all of a sudden now you're like Ronda Rousey, believing that you can beat Floyd Mayweather? I was like, please don't tell me that's what you're doing. Former welterweight champions Belal Muhammad and Kamaru Usman have shared a hostile relationship since the former's defeat over Leon Edwards. Remember the Name even appeared on Usman's podcast, where they allegedly got into a physical altercation. With the Chicago native's recent loss, the Nigerian Nightmare expressed his disinterest in celebrating his rival's downfall. On his podcast, Pound for Pound with Henry Cajudo, he had this to say: Why would I be happy because Belal Muhammad lost? I hadn't fought him yet. We weren't the best of friends, I'll tell you that for sure. That doesn't mean I'm happy that he lost. I understand what this game is. No, I'm not excited that he lost. I'm indifferent. I'm not going to prey on anyone's downfall. WWE's Women's World Championship title picture in the 2020 S has been highly competitive. We are halfway through the decade in 2025, and there have been some excellent title holders who have become Women's World Champions in WWE. Some of the champions were outstanding candidates to hold gold, with some having lengthy and memorable championship reigns. However, there were some Women's World Champions who failed to cut the mustard with the gold dot. The decade started with the Raw Women's Championship and the SmackDown Women's Championship as the main titles for women to fight for, but the championships were renamed as the WWE Women's Championship and the Women's World Championship in 2023. The best Women's World Champions of the decade had the best storylines and were featured in some excellent matches. Nikki Cross undertook a superhero gimmick, and she found immediate success with it. She won the 2021 Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, and 24 hours later, she successfully cashed in her briefcase on Raw and defeated Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. That quote, "Nerda was as good as it got for Nikki during her first Raw Women's Championship reign." She defended the title against Charlotte and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match at SummerSlam 2021. Inevitably, she dropped the championship back to Charlotte with her reign lasting just 33 days. Ronda Rousey returned to action after almost 3 years away, and she won the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble match. The baddest woman on the planet was at her peak in her first run, and she failed to replicate that form in her return. Nevertheless, Rousey finally beat Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship in an I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash. 2022. Rousey was no longer favorable with the fans, and they were pleased when she dropped the title to Liv Morgan via a Money in the Bank cash-in. Furthermore, Rousey regained the SmackDown Women's Championship, but her reign was weak with title defenses against the likes of Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez. Inevitably, Tiffany Stratton was going to cash in her Women's Money in the Bank briefcase on her ally Nia Jax, who was the WWE Women's Champion. Stratton started 2025 with a bang by defeating the Irresistible Force for the Women's Championship, and Stratton is thriving as the champion. For sure, there's room for improvement in her 126-day and counting Women's Championship reign. She has no shortage of challengers, and preventing Charlotte Flair from winning a 15th Women's World Championship at WrestleMania 41 was arguably the biggest win in her career. Nia Jax was on a tear in 2024, and she was deserving of her push. She decimated Lyra Valkyria to become the Queen of the Ring, booking her spot in a WWE Women's Championship match with Bayley at SummerSlam. The role model was ultimately no match for Jax, with Jax defeating Bayley to become a two-time WWE Women's Champion. This was Jax's first championship reign in 6 years, and it was a decent championship reign. She faced the likes of Bayley, Naomi, and Mission throughout her title run. She failed to become the first WWE Women's Crown Jewel Champion, falling short to Raw's Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan. Nevertheless, Jax held the title for 5 months, and once again, a Money in the Bank. Cash-in halted her championship reign. It became a running joke, as every time Sasha Banks won a title, she'd lose it at the first attempt. The Boss clinched the Raw Women's Championship for the 5th time at Asuka's attempt, and she became a double champion alongside Bayley as 2-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Once again, Banks' Raw Women's Championship reign ended early as she dropped the title back to the Empress of Tomorrow at SummerSlam 2020. The Boss dusted herself off, but her alliance with Bayley ended, and Banks defeated Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship inside Hell in a Cell. With the win, Banks became a Grand Slam champion. Her SmackDown Women's Championship reign was the best title reign in her WWE career, and she lost the title to Bianca Belair in a historic main event at WrestleMania 37. Liv Morgan was knocking on the door to become a Women's World Champion for some time, and she constantly came up short. However, it was Liv's moment when she successfully cashed in her Women's Money in the Bank briefcase, the same night as winning it by beating Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship in 2022. Liv, quote, "S first reign as champion was average despite beating Rousey in a rematch at SummerSlam and Shayna Baszler at Clash at the Castle 2022. Nevertheless, Liv was much more seasoned for her second Women's World Championship reign. She was at the top of the game, much better inside the ring, and looked like a top star. She became the inaugural WWE Women's Crown Jewel Champion and held the Women's World Championship for 8 months. Her rivalry with Rhea Ripley elevated her title reign, and her alliance with Dominic Mysterio resulted in a shocking power couple. Unquestionably, Asuka is one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. She was a key performer in the pandemic era, and she was rewarded with the first Raw Women's Championship reign. With the win, Asuka became a Grand Slam champion. She won the Raw Women's Championship a second time when she regained the title from Sasha Banks and held the title until WrestleMania 37. Asuka won the Raw Women's Championship for a third time after she failed to beat Bianca Belair for the title at WrestleMania 39. She ended her record-breaking 420-day reign with the gold at Night of Champions 2023. During this title reign, the title reverted to the WWE Women's Championship. Just like her damaged CTRL stablemate, Iyo Sky became a Grand Slam champion. Sky is a 2-time Women's World Champion, and she has proved that she belongs at the top end of the card. Sky won the WWE Women's Championship for the first time at SummerSlam 2023 as a member of damaged CTRL after cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase. Sky had some great matches with the likes of Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka. She lost the title to her former damaged CTRL stablemate, Bayley, at WrestleMania 40 Sunday. A year later, Sky entered WrestleMania 41 Sunday as a champion again as the Women's World Champion. Her triple threat match with Rhea Ripley and Belair in the Curtain Raiser was one of the best women's championship matches in WWE history. No woman in WWE history has won more world championships than Charlotte Flair. The Queen has won a record-setting 14 WWE Women's World Championships. However, 4 of Charlotte's World Championship runs have come in the 2020s so far, and there's no doubt that she'll add to that tally before the decade closes. Charlotte quotes featured in some superb Women's Championship matches this decade. But her SmackDown Women's Championship match with Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39 Saturday was the pick of the lot. The Queen receives a lot of stick from the WWE Universe as she's always featured in the title picture, but she's been an amazing women's champion. Bayley was the MVP in the pandemic era in WWE. She featured regularly on SmackDown and made appearances on Raw during her second reign as the SmackDown Women's Champion. She also held the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship alongside Sasha Banks. The role model's SmackDown Women's Championship reign was brilliant, but the Boss ended her record-breaking 380-day reign as champion inside Hell in a Cell. That was the last time Bayley held gold until she won the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match and defeated Iyo Sky for her second WWE Women's Championship reign at WrestleMania 40 Sunday. Unfortunately, Bayley's title reign was bitterly disappointing, with reigning Queen of the Ring winner Nia Jax beating her for the title at SummerSlam 2024. Becky Lynch kickstarted the 2020s as the reigning Raw Women's Champion, but she held the Raw Women's Championship for the longest at 398 days until she announced her pregnancy, forcing her to give up the title. Nevertheless, Lynch returned 15 months later after maternity leave, defeating Bianca Belair for her fourth SmackDown Women's Championship reign at SummerSlam 2021. Lynch and Charlotte traded their respective titles, and Lynch reunited with the Raw Women's Championship that she never lost. She continued to have excellent title matches in her second Raw Women's title run, culminating with Bianca Belair beating her for the title at WrestleMania 38. Lynch captured her seventh World Championship and first one in 3 years when she won the vacant Women's World Championship in a Battle Royal, but dropped the title a month later to Liv Morgan before undertaking a hiatus. Lynch captured her seventh World Championship and first one in 3 years when she won the vacant Women's World Championship in a Battle Royal, but dropped the title a month later to Liv Morgan before undertaking a hiatus.